Jumping Jerks is a tremendous episode of Cheers. This is the 8th episode of the 7th season. This is, of course, directed by the wonderful James Burrows, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. You do need to suspend disbelief with this one, because it's not realistic, and I will explain what I mean by that when I get there, but honestly, I don't mind that at all. It starts off with Rebecca reading some notes from the suggestion box. Also, I love the colour that she and Sam are wearing. The two colours just look so great together on screen. And she happens to read some suggestions. I learned that happy hour is illegal in Massachusetts, which I didn't know. And then she reads a letter that seems quite promising and complimentary, and then she gets to the phrase naked pretzel and realises it's from Sam. I've never heard of that phrase before, and I rather found that very entertaining. The rest of the episode focuses on one main narrative, and it starts off with Woody, Cliff, and Norm coming into the bar, really happy. They've been watching Magnificent Seven, they're having a great time, and Woody actually sits on the other side of the bar as a customer, which is quite fun. And Cliff explains that it's such a shame that there's not really any danger in life for the three of them to face. And somebody behind them keeps mentioning skydiving. And eventually they turn around and talk to him. He's called Bob. He's played by J. Kenneth Campbell. And he is a skydiver. He's a skydiving instructor. And he eventually suggests that they go out imminently and go skydiving. And Carla tells them that they're the three biggest cowards in Boston. And then Bob adds that not everybody has what it takes to go skydiving. And needless to say, Cliff, Norm, and Woody don't like the sound of that, so they decide to do it, and we cut to the three of them in the plane. And this is where it gets unrealistic, because, and I had to double check this, but then I also realised they mentioned this on IMDb as well, so this confirms what I was thinking. When you're having your first skydive, it's always tandem. You do not jump on your own. Actually, according to IMDb, it's illegal to jump on your own the first time. I don't know how accurate that is, but I didn't know that. I just assumed it was just nobody would want to jump on their own the first time. So you do need to suspend disbelief a little bit, because they are jumping or trying to jump on their own. But if you can look past that, it's a delightful narrative. And they all decide that they're not going to jump after all, because they're very scared. Understandable. I would feel the same way. I would love to do it, but I'm far too chicken. And they all agree to lie, but Woody's very nervous about this because he doesn't lie, he doesn't like lying. And when they're back at the bar, they're telling their story. Norm keeps it simple, Cliff elaborates quite a bit and makes up a lot of fancy lies about doing somersaults and stuff. And Carla realises that something's not right. So she interrogates Woody, and it's absolutely adorable because Carla literally picks him up and puts him on the bar to interrogate him, which is so adorable. And he lies. And the look on Cliff and Norm's face when Woody lied was just priceless. And then Carla helps Woody down. This is Woody, who is leaping across the bar, but in his state of vulnerability, she helps him down, and it's absolutely adorable. And then Sam suggests that actually he would really like to do this. And maybe the guys, now that they've done it, could go up in the plane with him and show him how it's done. And Cliff's voice instantly becomes very high-pitched as he begins to panic about this. But they decide they're all going to do it. And they all start chanting, jump, jump, jump. And Carla comes running from the back and says, "Ah, damn, I thought Clavin was up on the ledge," which was just absolutely adorable. Really, really fabulous scene. And then they're up in the plane again. And it doesn't take too long for Sam to realise they lied. They hadn't jumped. They didn't do it. And Sam tells this story about a particular baseball game that's left him with a lot of regret, and it's quite an emotional story, and he decides he's going to jump. He's not going to miss this opportunity, and he chickens out at the last second. And then we cut back to the bar. They're telling their story again. We have this lovely moment where Sam has his arms around Cliff and Woody, and it's adorable and really sweet, and I rather enjoyed it. And Rebecca then comes up with a suggestion. Somebody had left a suggestion in the suggestion box that they should publicise Cheers more because it's a great bar. Completely agree. And that if the guys jumped out of the plane with a banner that said Cheers, that would be really great advertising. And she kind of manages to manipulate the situation by telling Sam that maybe she'd be inclined to sleep with him if he did this, because it would be a massive turn on. And of course, Sam realises that he's going to have to do this because he would get ultimately what he wants. And they're up in the plane again. And obviously it seems like they're very, very scared again. Here we are, third time. Is anybody actually going to jump? Woody does. Woody is the first to go, not necessarily because he's desperate to do it, but because he feels so riddled with guilt about lying. And he says, "I'd rather die like a fool than live like a coward." Which I guess is an interesting sentiment. And he jumps. And the others are amazed and in awe of this. And Sam and Norm both realise we're going to do it. If Woody can do it, maybe we can do it. And they go. Sam goes, Norm goes. And we just focus on Cliff for a good few seconds after Sam and Norm have jumped. And I love that. And Cliff is just staring at where they've jumped. And it's fabulously done. The pacing there is just, it's giving us a good couple of seconds, first of all, to enjoy Cliff's shocked and confused expression, and also to wonder, is Cliff going to do it? And Cliff decides to jump, but he has his hands and feet around the door frame, or the gap where the door would be. And honestly, I feel like that's what would happen with me. And then Bob points out, there's kind of a clunky noise, and Bob points out that they're out of fuel. The plane's going down. And Cliff realises he's not dying that way, and he jumps. And we don't have to wait too long to find out what happened, because it was just a tactic. Bob said to the pilot, it works every time. And I guess it did. And they all jumped, and we get to see, we're back in Cheers, and we get to see on television this shot of the banner. Honestly, the banner, I don't like the design of the banner. I don't think the banner looks very good. I don't know what I was expecting, but the logo just doesn't look very Cheersy. But nevertheless, it's a great shot. And Sam then hits on Rebecca because, as she said, somebody jumping out of a plane could be quite a turn on. And, well, it turns out it was. And that's why she's going on a date with Bob. And out she goes, and Sam sheepishly walks back to the bar looking rather embarrassed, and that's how we end things. It's a really fun episode. It's a nice change of pace. I do obviously prefer it most of the time when we're in the bar, but as the seasons progress and they get bigger budgets, we do get to spend time away from the bar, and I think this was a pretty fun example of how that can work really well. And from start to finish, it's an absolute delight. Personal highlights, honestly, interestingly for me, I'd say Carla actually gave me the biggest highlights, even though she's not the main focus, with her putting Woody on the bar and helping him down, and then her comment about Clavin being on the ledge. I just thought she was fabulous. She didn't have a lot of involvement in this, but I rather liked it. And I guess Sam's baseball story was quite moving. But in general, I just rather enjoyed the episode as a whole. Jumping Jerks is a really solid episode of Cheers, one that's really enjoyable. Definitely kind of slightly made me want to consider skydiving. Before I skydive, I want to go up in a hot air balloon. That's kind of a bigger bucket list thing for me. If I can go up in a hot air balloon, maybe then I can skydive. But probably not. We'll see. Maybe one day. Maybe the next time I watch this episode of Cheers, I will be more inclined to think about it more seriously. Maybe one day. But for now, I'm pleased to say that Jumping Jerks is, as one might expect, a really delightful episode of Cheers.